Hey, I'm Tylena Ogoyo, and we're bringing you Rise and Thrive, Indigenous Art, Culture, and Joyful Acts of Resistance today on USALA Media. We're live on USALA Media. We're live on YouTube. We have the most exciting guest. I'm so excited to bring Gregory Norman Cruz onto our show. Gregory is a very long-time friend, an incredible, prolific, talented actor, and an amazing person. So I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you, Greg, for coming on so early in the morning, because I know it's earlier in LA and we're in the middle of our quarantine. So you getting up and getting on the show with us is so gracious. So thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
So can you just introduce yourself and then we'll get into our conversation?
Sure. My name is Gregory Norman Cruz.
Yes.
I am an actor. That's what I do for a living. At least I try. And I'm from Los Angeles. I'm basically born and raised here in LA. I'm just adjusting the pillows here. And let's see what else I need to adjust for you. And yeah, we've been longtime friends. I think I think we met on the set of Tecumseh back in '95.
Was it 1995? Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's 25 years ago is when we met.
Yeah, ouch. Yeah.
Oh, you froze up there. I didn't hear what you said.
Well, I said, see these? I was pointing at the lovely little fringe I'm getting here.
Well, you know what I love is that you and I, we hardly ever, I mean, I think the last time I saw you was maybe 6 years ago when you were in Santa Fe to film Longmire. And we keep in touch maybe once a year or something, just real quick, happy birthday, this and that. But I've always, you're like family to me. And I've always considered you someone that's just a really solid person in my circle. And I appreciate you so much. And I think about you so much. So I'm really happy that we're able to have this conversation, because actually I was going over I was doing my research on you, because I haven't, because we're friends. I know you in a different way, but I actually went in and looked at your bio and your, all the films and television shows that you've worked on. And I saw that you started working your first film, actually, that doesn't mean when you started working, but your first film was in 1978. And since then you've done hundreds of projects. So I'm wondering how you decided to get into film. Was it through theater? And then how did you move into film? And what was your experience when you first started out? I want to talk about how things have changed from then to now, if they've changed at all.
Yeah, it's boy, those are some loaded questions. I had a feeling. And so it's been quite a journey. It was unexpected.
Was it?
Oh boy, was it unexpected.
Okay.
Second, yeah. I was not at all interested in being an actor when I was younger. And I wasn't on the path that I wanted to be on, I guess, whatever that means. But I was really interested in medicine. I'm cleaning my glasses, sorry. I was very interested in medicine. At the time, I was working in emergency rooms. In an emergency room, and first it was a hospital on the west side, not emergency room. I was admitting people and working the old PBX where you plugged in things for the telephone. Yeah. And then yeah, and then I started to work in Monterey Park Hospital in their emergency room, and I worked graveyard, and I admitted a lot of people, and it was right off Whittier Boulevard when it was open. So I saw stuff you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe some pretty bad things. Anyway, my point was that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be an actor, and I just kind of fell into it. One day, I just kind of sat up and went, "What am I doing?" I was 18 and kind of drifting. I was working at the hospital, but it was not as fulfilling as I wanted it to be. I wanted to be an emergency room doctor. I wanted to start out as a paramedic, and I just really wanted to get into all that because I could handle it. I didn't freak out with blood. I didn't, anyway. Um, and my brother worked with the United Farm Workers Theater, and they would come down and I'd see shows they did. And I started to get really interested in them because they were such extraordinary people, not even so much their shows, but they were such extraordinary people. They were very on top of the Chicano movement, and Cesar Chavez Grape Strike is where the theater came out of, and the Valdezes, Luis and Danny. And so about 18, one day I woke up and had a long conversation with my brother on the phone, and basically he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'm kind of sick and tired of running around here and hanging out with my friends, driving around, drinking, and doing nothing. I said, there's this limbo. So why don't you come up here? Why don't you come live with me? And it's a tiny little town, San Juan Bautista. And I did. And anyway, story short, I slowly started to get involved with the theater. I really didn't want to. I was very, 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 very not a performer, very shy, really none of that appealed to me. I mean, there's other reasons too, but I can't say them on the air. Well, no, nothing bad. Just mindset. Well, here's an example, because I guess I can't say it if I say it carefully. I came from a place where there wasn't a lot of give. I grew up in East LA, Boyle Heights. So you kind of, if you wanted to fit in, you had to go with the flow. And let me tell you, that social push is hardcore.
Right.
So you develop ideas about people and who they are by what they do. And by association, I was looking at acting as, I'm not going to do that. That's sissies do that, guys who are strange do that, what I mean?
Interesting.
I had that association with it. So it was some barriers. When those barriers got dropped by some extraordinary people, just by their being who they are, a whole world opened up to me. Yeah. And then a lot of my mindset shifted. And then when I started looking at how I developed those ideas in the first place, I was like, wow. Then I started thinking about a lot of things. I mean, my mind just expanded.
The whole world opened up for you.
It opened up. And when I looked back, I was looking at I started to look back at East LA and thinking, Jesus Christ, this is like a gigantic, on the negative end, like a gigantic prison colony. Like a huge reservation where if you don't roll with that flow, you're gonna get stomped. You're gonna get. You better have this mindset. And I thought, wow, how horrible! It's just like that's just like this giant mindset prison, where you can't.
Right, because you can't see it until you step out of it.
You step out of it, and you can't think freely, and you're coerced to go with the flow.
Right. And that's why arts education and arts are so important.
So important. Incredibly important. When back in the day, thank goodness for the Jewish Big Brothers, the Variety Boys Club at the time, it's Boys Club now, they would take us to go see shows. The buses, all the poor kids, in the poor neighborhood. They still stayed there with us, and they would take us, and we were Jewish, there weren't any more Jewish people in East LA and Boyle Heights. But they would take us to go see stuff that the Shriners did, or we went to go see plays and shows and musicals. And we didn't go all the time, but I remember seeing those things and going, wow, I didn't have that mindset at the time. Because I was little. Wow, look at that. That's
right. So it kind of came full circle in a way.
Maybe somewhere in there it dropped in. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Yeah. So then from San Juan Bautista, is that what it's called? How did you get into, you started your own theater company your career has been sustaining, and it's just phenomenal. You need to write a book, honestly. There's so much, and there have been so many shifts where it's just been, really go, and then kind of a pause and go, and you've analyzed things along the way. We could talk for hours, because I think it's fascinating to have had this arc that you've had. So when did you we have 2 minutes left so to this segment. So what we'll do is when we come back, we'll talk about when you moved from San Juan Bautista to LA and how integrating yourself into that world, which I can only imagine at the time was filled with many stereotypes and a lot of roles that were not ideal for people of color. And I'd like to talk about how you navigated that and how you worked very, very hard to break down those stereotypes. Sound good?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go on a break now. This is Rise and Thrive, Indigenous Art, Culture, and Joyful Acts of Resistance with Tylena Goyo and Gregory Norman Cruz on USALA Media. Woo, woo.
Loving this feeling. Over the phone is how you told me you still love me, and I'm still kicking myself. But what I said to you, I told you I'll be over soon, I'll be over soon. And can I look at you without a care in the world?
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model.
From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Hi, we're back. This is Tylena Goyo with Rise and Thrive on USALA Media with Gregory Norman Cruz, who is a phenomenal actor, artist, and friend. And we were just talking about how Greg started acting, and we were just about to shift into his big move to Hollywood and talk about what his experiences were. Now think about it. This was when? In the 70s, right? So what was when you moved there, what was it like?
Well, I'm from LA.
We're from there, but when you moved into that space.
I moved to San Juan Bautista for a couple of years and was going up and down, and I just started getting involved in Chicano theater.
Okay.
With the Farm Workers Theater, and that opened my eyes even more. We had the wonderful Chicano movement happening in LA just prior to my going to San Juan. So when I came back from San Juan, I thought that honestly, I got a movie when I was in San Juan. It was Ishi, Last of His Tribe, and it was just a fluke. It was a fluke, and it was a life-changing fluke. I mean, complete life-changing fluke. I got a co-starring part in a movie they were shooting in up north on location near Mount Lassen area. And they came up to San Juan, which is about 400 miles away from Los Angeles, tiny little town. And we auditioned, and I just happened to walk into the warehouse one day. They said, "Hey, we're going to audition for this thing. Let's take your picture." They liked my picture, came up and auditioned us, and I got the part. And I don't even know how I did it. I'd never been in a film before. So next thing I know, I'm on location, and I don't know what I'm doing, but it's a lot of fun. You know, I was young enough to have fun with it. Joseph Running Fox was the lead.
Right.
And that's where we met. And I played his brother and to Maui. Anyway, so we did that. I got back to San Juan, and I thought, Jesus, that was great. wow, I didn't make a whole lot of money, but I thought I did.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, oh, what an easy way to make money. I swear that's
So that was the driving force.
it was, here's this kid from the hood going, look at all this
You
money I
got
can.
this one big check, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I thought, I just thought, this is it. I'm in. I'm going to be a star. This is wonderful. This is, wow, I'm going back to LA, man. That's what got me back to LA. I thought,
Okay.
no, I'm in the industry. Everybody is going to know, and everybody knows who I am. And I didn't know that when they told me I needed headshots, I was like, what? They told me I needed a resume. What? So that's what brought me back to LA. I gave it 2 years. And 2 years later, I just said, well, you know what? It's been a wild ride. I'm learning a lot. I met an amazing acting instructor, Sel Romeo, and Michael Naring. And we developed, I started taking classes with him, which I would have never done. I didn't want anybody to touch my talent. But when I had this wonderful discussion with him on the phone, I realized there was a lot that I didn't know. It took me a long time to figure that out. And I wasn't such a hot shot. And I needed to do my homework. And I needed to figure out.
Yes. And let me say that that's something I've always admired about you, because I obviously didn't know you back then, but ever since I've known you, you do your work. You are one of those diligent people that no matter how long you've been in the business, you always are studying, reading, talking to people, figuring out new things. And a lot of people don't do that. And I think that's why your career has been so sustaining as well. I mean, aside from a lot of other factors, but I always admired that about you.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I just, I don't know even what to say about that other than that. Once I realized how much I loved what I was doing, first of all, I just fell in love with it, especially when I started taking classes and going to classes and seeing people putting themselves out there, man, and being vulnerable and just allowing their humanity to shine. And that's what the arts do. The arts just lift us and they lift us and they lift us. And once I started really letting that sink in, I realized that how in love I was with what I was doing and how important it was to really be your best as well as you can, So I started, I got into the classes, and then after I got into the classes, it really helped me to get a better grasp of what I was doing. And once I started to know what the media was and being in front of a camera, not being so afraid anymore, and not so intimidated by the auditions, it just took off like a rocket. At least for me, it did. I'm not a monetarily wealthy man by any means, but in terms of wealth in every other category, I am the richest man you can ever know.
So we were talking about one of I would say one of the biggest movies that are on your resume, or most recognizable, Scarface. Can you talk about your experience with that and how that shifted your idea of what you wanted for your career?
Yeah, boy, Scarface was a turning point. It wasn't, Scarface was a wonderful experience. I had a really nice piece to do. It wasn't a lot, but it was significant enough for me. And I started to look at the auditions that I was going on and realizing that all they had available for anybody like me, I guess, the way I looked, was a guy with a knife, guy with a bandana, guy with a knife and a bandana, guy with a bad accent, guy that didn't dress too well or dressed well for a certain part of town. And I knew a couple of guys that took every role that came down the pike, man. They were like, you got to take it, because if you don't take it, somebody else is going to take it. Which made a lot of sense, especially for people like us who don't have those opportunities rolled down our road. And I was just like, wow, really? And these guys had been in the business for a while. And I was like, maybe that's the thing to do. And I just was at this crossroads going, I'd done one or two things like that, not know it, because I didn't have anything on my resume, and I'm already going like this. I'm so nervous about that. And because it was just like, it's like being forced to do something you don't want to do. And being
it just doesn't sit well inside your soul.
Not at all. It reinforces stereotypes.
explain for the listeners how few and far between the roles actually are. So you would be called out. I remember when I was in LA, it would be maybe, if we were lucky, one audition a month or one every 3 months. So that's how rare the opportunities are. And then you have 50 people going out for it. So if you're getting a job where you have to have a knife and a bandana and be a complete stereotype, it is a hard decision to turn that down. So how did you?
Well, kudos to the guys that took them. I mean, I understand.
Right. There's no judging here. It was just right. No judgment.
I looked at it one day and went, I would rather eat dirt.
It's just not for you.
For me. I just was like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't what I wanted. Once I got into this and really, really fell in love with it. And I was doing theater. I got into doing theater, and I fell in love with the theater because there's no net, man. And it's so real, and you got to be that thing, and you don't get a second take. And, it's like, okay, let's go. It's we're prize fighting, man. It's the only winner. So the challenge was incredible. And I just thought, I don't want to do these things, and I don't want this to be my legacy. I don't want, if I had children, and I have a son now, him to see me, hey, what are you doing, man? Or it's like, no, I'm not, I never was that, So, and then just glorifying those stereotypes. So anyway, I just decided I wasn't gonna do it anymore. Just one day I said, I mean, I wasn't doing it anyway. I was turning them down, and my agent was just all over me. What are you doing? You don't have anything on your resume. You need to do these jobs. You have to. I said, no, I don't. And I did live on nothing. They cut my lights, they cut my gas. I was 3 months behind in the rent. And, ditching the landlord. I had a speeding ticket that I couldn't pay. So now I had warrants, and it was, it was bad. It was hard. But I just was like, I'm just not gonna do it that way. I don't care. It was just one, I just didn't care. I would rather the dogs and I were eating beans and rice and garlic. And the neighbor was bringing food over now and again, because I never said a word, but she got wind. And one day she came over, sent her daughters over with some arroz con pollo. They were Puerto Rican. And my mom says, here, take this. Do that,
Thank goodness for community, right?
Oh man, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Without saying a word, they were right there, and they were just like, we got your back. And
that's beautiful.
Things started to pick up, but those auditions, man, you're right. One a month, maybe one every 3 months, and I had to go on my little motorcycle in winter trying to sell $20 coupon tickets to people who didn't want them. Trying to make a buck. I had to go get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go and try to sell pens to Syracuse, New York, to people who didn't want them.
Right.
You had to eat.
Anything
to survive. And I wasn't going to give up. I just wasn't going to give up. And things started to, the auditions that I did get, I realized I think this is really important for people to hear. I started to realize also that not only did I need to do my best with what I did, and I wanted to do that, but that was my personality. It's that I had to be, and this is nothing against anyone else, but I had to be better than the competition. And the only way I could do that is just be the best, do my very best with whatever came down that I was willing to put myself out for. And study the competition and see what you're up against and see what's required of you, and see you have to become this seer because you have to see the whole picture and what they're looking for, and how what they're looking for, how you can mold yourself into what they need for what you're being asked to audition for. So I started developing all these little techniques, and then I throw them out, and then I get new ones, and I throw them out, and I get new ones, and I throw them out. And I would I'm not going to give away all of my secrets, but
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. But,
you got to charge for that.
I'm sorry, man.
$500. $2,000.
You know? Yeah, right away. And I started, I will say this, one of the strangest things for me at that time was, since I put my foot down in my life and said, I'm taking control, and I am the captain of my ship and nobody else is, it was freeing. I didn't eat very well, but it was freeing. And I just was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I won't ever do that. And didn't look back. And all of a sudden it opened the door.
Well, I have a question,
Yeah.
because that is so powerful. It's amazing that you did that and you had such drive and integrity. But then you're talking about going into the auditions and shifting and knowing what they're looking for. So say you did go into an audition that wasn't overtly stereotypical, but a lot of them, I mean, even to this day, a lot of times they're not overtly and they're trying to be more aware, but they still fall into these stereotypes, right? And then sometimes you notice other people being cast because they fell into the they fell into exactly what they wanted. For example, when we were working on Tecumseh or any of the other films, native themed films in the past, a lot of times they used English language really backwards and broken and bizarre,
Sure.
and offensive. And I know you and I made a conscious choice I would still say the words in the script, which were just awkward, but I would say them in a very conversational way, the way you and I speak.
Right.
But often the director would think, well, she's not acting that right because they wanted like the one who was my father, really this awkward thing. And that was truthful to them, but not truthful to us. So do you know what I'm saying? Like, even though you avoided the overtly stereotypical roles, how did you go in and navigate when they're looking for stereotypes, even though they think they're woke?
Right.
How do you still navigate that and still get the role?
It's still difficult. It's still difficult to do that. And I have to say that I fell into that trap, a few times in my life. Not really being all that aware that that's what I was doing. And until later,
Interesting.
I thought later and went, oh my God, what was that? Why did you do that? And I think part of why I did that was I got so wrapped up in the character, I wasn't paying attention to how I was speaking, and I got caught in listening to everybody. Now, I'm not blaming them. I got caught in the rhythm of what was.
It was a rhythm, definitely, on all the sets we were on for those native type films.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to call them, but there was a rhythm for sure.
Yeah. And I looked.
And if you weren't part of it, then they were looking at you like you didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah. And I had a whole lot of other things going on that I had to navigate around at that time with native parts. And Tecumseh was one of the examples that were, one day I looked at it and went, I like what you did. You put meaning in everything you said, you meant it, you were in that character, but there was a little touch of, you're doing it, man. You're doing that weird talk. And and it's like, oh God, I wish I wouldn't have done that.
I mean, the thing is, it's in the script though. It's so hard to pull away from that.
It's, Graham Greene, I admired him since forever for breaking that stereotype. I don't think that he wasn't.
Can I look at you without a care in the world?
Welcome back to Rise and Thrive. We're here with Gregory Norman Cruz. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for being here. And you have your coffee because you're like, it's early here.
Early over
in
here.
LA. I want to talk to you about the shift and when things got good and when you started working on projects that you felt represented you better and that you could dive into? Can you name a few of them? And I'm thinking of like Saving Grace.
Grace, yeah.
And that you were on that series for a long time. Can you talk about some of your highlights?
Oh, absolutely. But I also want to say this, which is anyways, I want to throw this out there. You're remarkable. I was just saying that earlier. You're remarkable.
Thank you.
Do so much in your life, and you're so prolific yourself. You jump from one thing to the next and make it work, and you make it work, and you make it work, and here you are again. So my hat's off to you. You
Thank you.
Family, and they seem to be thriving wonderfully, and I'm just very proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Giving me emotions. Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
So well, let's see. Well, Saving Grace was a major turning point for me, but I want to get back to that. I think one of the most important and happiest times for me was when I got involved with the Friends and Artists Theater Ensemble. Created a theater company together.
Yes.
We found a space to do theater in Hollywood, and we had our little theater for from 86 to 1990 or 91, something like that, and just incredible theater, incredible artists. I learned so much. I started taking class with the artistic director, Sal Romeo. I was in class with him already, and then we created this theater, and then I was like, I got to be in these plays and with parts that were challenging, I was able to be, who I wanted to be, that actor that was just hungry to get out there and throw themselves out there and either go up in flames or not, and to be on those boards and to just captivate people and bring all this wonderful again humanity to them. I did a show called Three Penny Opera with
Yes,
with Friends and
I
Artists.
remember.
And I was one of the gang. I was one of Mackey's gang, and the guy that I won't mention names, the guy that had the lead at the last second dropped out. He had like 2 weeks we were going out, and then we all had this big falling out. I no need to get into that either, but I was kind of angry and it was like, okay, I'm done. I was giving 20-hour days to this show into the theater,
and then
I'm done. I'm out of here. It all fell up. It was falling apart, and we were getting like negativity about it. And I said, I'm done. I don't want this. And I got a phone call, and it's the artistic director, and he says, listen, so and so dropped out, and I thought about this before. He said, would you consider doing the lead? And I was like, huh?
You're like, I'm not done anymore.
Wait.
I take it back.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, and to my credit, and with that stuff you were saying before, I said, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know, because y'all came out real negative a little while ago. Their ends, and all of a sudden you guys came out of the woodwork, and we're like, you guys aren't doing. I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that. So if I said, let me think about it. Give me a day. And I thought about it, and he called me the next day, and I said, if we can get past all this crap, yes. I said it would be a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me as an actor. So anyway, we decided to go ahead and do it. And was I scared to death? Absolutely. I had 2 weeks to learn choreography, 2 or 3 dances with a partner, 1 dance by myself, and like 3 or 4 long songs and a duet.
That's intense.
And remember the lines, and do the lead, and I just was like, can I do this? I was scared to death, and I had a full-time job cleaning fish tanks at like Boys Market and stuff. So what I would do is I would get my little cassette, remember cassettes, and I would have all the dialogue in my ears as I'm cleaning fish tanks all day long. And it was intense. 2 weeks there every day, and I got to say, this ensemble pulled it together. Man, they held me up so high, and we pulled it off. I got a Dramalogue award for
yes,
best
Right.
performance
Hmm.
in a lead for an actor.
Phenomenal.
And what happened to me with all this love, all this support, all this, you can do this, and in the back of my head, my going, yes, you can do this. Yes, this is what you can do this. Once we got it done, and did all our performances, I stopped and just thought about it and got real quiet with myself, and I said, see
Hmm.
what you're capable of. And my point to this is, anybody who's listening, see what you're capable of, go for it. You never know until you try. You know that old adage. Go for it. I would never have put myself in that position had so much not been relying on it. I guess we were going to go up, and then we were not, and all these people were going to be unable to do. And I just was like, we can do this, and you can do this, and here's your opportunity. Go, and don't look back. And so I came out of that so strong as an actor, you wouldn't believe. I was like, wow, I can do that.
Hmm. The confidence is like half the battle, right? Or it's everything,
It
honestly.
was everything. It changed my auditions.
And it's the work. I mean, you put the work in.
It's wonderful. And then
It's the
Saving
work.
Grace came along, and I don't know how I got that audition, but I got a new agent. That's what it was, and I got the audition, and
Which audition was this for?
for Saving Grace.
Oh, okay.
And the agency had not even, my manager had told them about me, and they were a nice boutique agency. They'd been in the business for a while, Mitchell Stubbs and Associates, and Judy Page, and so they took me on like retainer. They didn't want to sign me. They took me on. They didn't know who I was or whatever. And my first audition with them, if I remember correctly, was for Saving Grace. They had that kind of power to get me in there for that audition.
Wow.
And 4 auditions down the line, one network in front of everybody, all these
Wow.
tables in the dark, and you got to get into the room by yourself, and you got,
Just
I
like
had
the
to do-
movies.
it was crazy. And get in there and just keep telling yourself, you know what, you're this good, you're good enough. If anybody, everybody
You can do
is
it.
equal, and
Mhm.
you are the best of you, and they're the best of them. So get in there and shine.
Yeah.
So my mindset really started to, really changed with Three Penny Opera. Then I went and did Saving Grace, and I was just like, you know what, you're as high a caliber as anybody out there, man. Show them. Show them. Rather than, I'm so scared to death. Oh my God.
Right. It
You know,
shifts. Mhm.
it shifts, and it went from being nervous to being excited.
Like they should want you, like you shouldn't be you're not wanting that so bad, as they deserve to have someone of your caliber there.
Yeah, it reminds me of something I read recently, not exactly the same thing, but I hope that the analogy works. And it was about people who have a company that how to explain this? I don't want to say rich people, but I have to use the word rich people because it was rich people. It's it's rich people. You don't need rich people to give you a job. They need you to do the job.
Well, that
Because
is so relevant now, especially with everything
especially,
that's
yeah.
happening.
So
Mhm.
it levels the playing field, and I think people's eyes are starting to open with that, by the way. And
Right.
they're realizing they're valuable.
Oh,
They're valuable.
absolutely.
All
Yes.
he needs you, because without him, he's got nothing.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
So true.
yeah, and then
So you got the job.
got the job. And 3 years of intense film acting with Holly Hunter and just all these wonderful people that would come on as well as guest stars, and getting that experience every day, on a set. I mean, I wasn't there all the time, but and then I had this wonderful opportunity on Saving Grace to my character as a detective, as a native detective. And he was the best part was when I talked to Nancy Miller, God bless her, the executive producer writer.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we were trying to kind of talk about who this character was, and I said, why can't he be, Latin native? I
Mm-hmm.
said, if he's Latin native, I mean, you got 2 worlds going, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, you're absolutely right. I was like,
So
what?
you did that.
Well, I mean, it was originally he was going to be God, I thought he was going to be white, and then he was going to be black, and then they decided to do native. But yes, it was one of my suggestions, and because and I had suggested that. I don't remember exactly why that worked out, but I was like, I could grow a mustache finally, and a goatee, and I don't know who's calling me. Sorry, and and I remember having that conversation, and she's like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Oh
That's
man!"
fabulous.
So now, I did this role where I go undercover as the detective, and I'm talking fast because I know we don't have a lot of time. So, um, I I uh, uh, I joined the Holly Hunter detective crew, the Saving Grace crew, coming in from another unit that dealt with uh, human trafficking with children.
Mm-hmm.
And my backstory was, I couldn't take it over there anymore, and I needed to get out. And I'd done all this other
Right.
stuff, and I got with them. And then something came down the pike, and they needed me to do it again, and I was ready to crack. And by the way, this character had 4 daughters.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
isn't that
What do you
crazy?
mean they needed you to do it again?
In Saving Grace, in
They
one of the
shot it
episodes,
and
he
then.
wanted me to go undercover again, and I
Oh, okay.
the character.
I see the character.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, got it.
So I was like, and so the character's
Yeah,
like, oh,
that's
my Bobby Stillwater's going, oh,
intense. Right.
no, because I'm gonna crack.
Right.
I go undercover,
Powerful.
which means I don't work for 3 months, by the way. and then
Oh,
and then they brought me back in as I go undercover and I go away. They do a few more episodes, and then I come back. So 3 months later, and I know that I've got to come back with a bang.
right.
It's like
Yes.
I gotta come back like, wow, because
Yes.
I've been
Right.
gone
We
for
need
a
to
while,
see this guy more.
So
Yeah.
um, it all just fell. It all just went click, click, click. While I was gone, I let the mustache and the goatee come out. I let my hair get wild,
Wow.
and I worked on this. I worked on this guy that did crack.
Hmm.
It was barely holding it together. So
Wow.
when my cover's blown, I come back and I'm sitting in the captain's office, and the FBI guy's debriefing me, and I'm just finding out that I'm not going to go back under. And it's just I created this character that was just barely still there
Amazing.
anymore.
Oh,
Just it was I loved it, man.
uh,
Some of the best
yes.
work I think that I could have ever
Yes.
been given. And I loved you always want to do more with your performances. I just really enjoyed that performance so much because I was given all this, here, eat this, here,
Yeah.
enjoy this, do what you do. And
Wow.
and so the best part for me, that whole thing, was at the end of it, after we shot it, the writer came over, and she just was like, wow. She goes,
Hmm.
you should hear what they're saying back there.
Wow.
Like, wow, and I'm like, thank you.
What a gift. Hmm.
Yeah, got in my car, drove down the block.
I did it.
I still have a job though.
That's a gift
It
for
was
you to be
so
able to
wonderful.
feel that. And just
Yeah,
hearing you recount it, I mean, it obviously had a huge impact on your life. And you worked for that. You made that happen.
man, I worked for
You
that one.
manifested that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
man. So those are
So
wonderful
what
times.
else? In the recent years, what have you worked on that have stood out for you?
I just came back from doing. I was in Hawaii just
Yes,
yeah.
right.
It was like the first audition of the year. I'd never got one in early January before in my career, and went in and I did the audition, and did my homework, and next thing I know, I get a phone call, you're going to Hawaii, and I'm like, whoa,
For Hawaii 5-0.
for Hawaii 5-0. So I went and I did a character for Hawaii 5-0, and that was a lot of fun. And it's always fun for me as an actor when I get there and I know that they're on a schedule, and I know, they need to get this done and they need to move on. And when you can sit down, do it, you're one take, two take, thank you very much, and they're just going, okay, that guy,
Hmm.
I just
Hmm.
love that. So I went and did that. And the director came out from behind the camera. I'm not over here singing my praises, but I'm so happy about this.
No,
Um,
go for it.
he came out from behind the camera, and he was just like, this guy, wow, man,
You're a
that's
pro.
it was so much. It's so gratifying. Thank you. It's so
You
gratifying.
earned, I mean, you earned that. So sing the praises because you earned that. You
Yeah.
worked for it,
Yeah. Yeah. And then the guy that has the lead in Magnum PI,
Mm-hmm.
they were shooting. I've known him since he was in junior high school.
Hmm.
He was
Yes.
one of my niece's best friends. So I'm walking down the street, and the next day I was in Hawaii, and they're filming on the beach. We had talked on the phone. So I walked over. It was wonderful to see him. Javier, they call him Jay. And then I ran into a guy that I worked with, Saving Grace, that was doing props.
So fun.
Butch, and we had dinner. It was so much fun. We had dinner.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. And
Yeah.
then you started working on another project, and then it rolled into quarantine time. So talk about how that has affected you.
Okay. I auditioned for the Mayans the end of 2019, and got a couple of episodes with them, and got a recurring role with them. They created a whole new gang out of Tijuana called the what is it? The Vatos Malditos, the bad guys, little bad guys. And so they created a whole thing, and I'm the head of that motorcycle club. And we shot a couple episodes, and then we were going to come back. And I was supposed to be working now.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID came and said, no,
No.
not yet, but I got
Mm-hmm.
Elgin James sent out an email to everybody on the cast saying, we're Hollywood is trying to figure out how we're going to go back into production.
Interesting.
Just so you know. And I was very happy to get that email, because that means I'm
Mm-hmm.
still in there, So
Yeah.
I'm very happy that at some point I'll still have a job with them.
Right.
And okay. And we're surviving over here. My son's down here with me.
That's nice.
Yeah. And we're just holding on, we're holding on. I'm trying to figure out what would be the next move if you can't go into production. And I think the next move is, for most people, you really smart what you're doing here. I love this. So smart. You're so
Thanks.
is voiceover. You're welcome.
Yeah. Right. There are ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, audiobooks and podcasts and
Exactly. Yeah. I know you'll figure it out, but hopefully things will open up and Hollywood will I think everyone's going to have to make modifications and kind of be okay with everything not looking perfect like it did before, but we could still figure out a way to provide that entertainment. But in the meanwhile, I'm sorry, go ahead.
In the meantime, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, how can people support you during this time? Do you have like a PayPal account, or is it, because I'm really interested with We Are the Seeds, my organization. We created an artist relief fund to give some funds to artists who, it's been really hard in the art world right now. So just wondering if anybody wanted to send you donations, how they might do that.
I haven't really thought about that at all. And I would say I'm okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, give it to people who need it more than I'm surviving. We got food.
That's amazing.
We'll be okay.
You're incredible. I would say that if anybody wants to reach out to Greg for whatever reason, you can contact me at tylin@wearetheseeds.org, and I can forward I can connect you. So we have to wrap up, but I want to have you back because we haven't even scratched the surface of this. You are just fabulous. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I know this is not an easy time, and you definitely have lifted my day. And I think that you've lifted a lot of people's day by chatting about your world and how you got here. And I'm so proud of you, and I love you, and I just think you're an incredible person. So I'm so happy that you're in my life. So thank you for being here today, and thank you for being in my world.
Thank you. Well, you're welcome, and twice as much, and right back at you.
Thank you so much.
All righty.
Thank you for joining us on Rise and Thrive at USALA Media. Join us next week, Thursday, 11 o'clock EST. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Or